والصلاة والسلام على خير المرسلين محمد النبي الأمي وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد يقول الله تعالى في القرآن الكريم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على سيدنا مولانا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتون إلا وأنتم مسلمون. Oh, you believe fear Allah as He should be feared and do not die except in a state of Islam. Inna Allah yahmaru bil adli wal ihsani wa itai dhul qurba wa yanha anil fashai wal munkari wal baghi ya'idhukum la'alakum tadhakkarun. Allah commands justice, the doing of good, and liberality to kith and kin. He forbids all shameful deeds and injustice. He instructs you that you may receive admonition. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Well, tonight is just mainly kind of an overview. Also, the main thing we wanted to do was to structure our where we would go tomorrow. And what we can do is, you think you could call the brother that we go out with most of the time? Okay, we'll go over to Dar al-Hijra. We haven't been over there in maybe a couple of months or so. So we'll go over there. And inshallah. Some of the things we want to talk about is a lot of, what did we call this, historical something or other? Historical redundancy, yeah. We've had a policy, the outline would look like this. We've carried on a policy of strategic depth. That means we've been carrying on a policy that have depth and gravity to it, but it's encapsulated in a grand strategy, a comprehensive strategy. To carry out that type of strategy, you need a lot of foresight, insight. You have to have stickability, the ability to implement the things that you want to do, and the ability to hold on to that strategy over a long period of time. It's like having a goal or a destiny laid out on a journey across the ocean, and the winds and the waves will always be blowing against your vessel or vehicle, trying to affect or change its course. And you have to have the ability to, no matter how strong the winds are, no matter what the currents are, that you have the ability to constantly refocus, recalibrate. Where are we going? In other words, what is our destiny? And no matter if you have charts and maps that describe where the rocks are, the captain or the head of that vehicle has to have some skill in charting courses, in maneuverability, and they have to have, let's call it oceanic strategy, or some depth, some understanding of the ocean itself. In other words, if all the streams on earth go into the ocean, which they do, then the person that's going to navigate on that great ocean has to have some knowledge of the currents. They have to have some knowledge of and directional finders. They help them not only know where they want to go, find a course, but stay on that course. Because out there, the winds will blow against you and try to move you this way. Emotional winds, psychological winds, even spiritual winds at times, societal winds. Things will blow against you and move against you to shift you off course. But you have to know where you're trying to go and have an idea of why you're trying to get there. And this will all help you stay focused on where you're trying to go. Definiteness of purpose. If you don't have a purpose or a goal to if you don't answer the question, why am I here? You're going to get diverted. You'll be kind of aimless. That don't mean a person won't have a reasonably good life, but you should have a purpose, a goal, and where you're trying to get to. And that could be your life goal or a temporary goal, a 5-year goal, 5-year plan to get you where you want to go in that period. And just before you arrive there, at the end of your 5-year plan, during the 4th year, right, you're planning for now your 15-year plan, your 20-year plan, because you didn't gain skill, you know what I mean? You didn't learn how to play the game. If you have a goal and you learn how to get there, to get and fulfill and to accomplish that goal or direction, right, you're going to learn something about the ocean, something about the winds. You may not have mastered it yet, but you got a feel, right, of what battle space you're playing on. You got a feel on what happens on a voyage when you're headed in a certain direction. You have an idea of what you're going to run up against. And this, we call the program today, what is it, redundancy? Historical redundancy. I have to be truthful. We have gotten the historical redundancy down pretty well. Redundancy means that you can go over a thing and after a while, you don't even have to look at what you're doing. Because this thing has become so redundant, it's habitual. It's habitual. You could smell where you're going. You could hear where you're going. You could see where you're going. All your senses are incorporated into serving the purpose of direction and maintaining your direction. And in a way, we have to be somewhat, I don't say proud of ourselves, but we were, where did we go last week? Islamic Center? It was a lady came up, I don't know if you saw her, and she was African-American sister, and was talking and, telling us about how things have gotten kind of difficult. And so I told her, she said she had written something, a letter to some of the brothers in one of the other big shot institutions. And she wanted to verify, they always ask you to give a reference to Imam or some, so I said, sure, I'll handle it. Now, I vaguely remember, the face and what have you, but I don't remember the person coming here a whole lot, okay. So, and then the brother called, and the brother was one of the brothers that used to be out at one of the big shot places out there. And he told me, he says, "Oh, when you remember me, you'll remember me very well because I'm the one that used to handle zakat and sadaqah and I said, oh, so yeah, you one of the brothers used to give out those $20 gift cards, yeah, I mean, hey, now my idea was this, that was before a lot of people started helping, for Eid and what have you. So they would give us, I think it'd be a couple of thousand, something like that. And then that was when we was the only one really in touch with them on a daily basis. And they would tell us, oh, would you take these to Masjid Muhammad, and would you take these this place and that? And see, they saw it different from us. I saw it as a $2,000 or a $4,000 gift. And I saw those certificates as a $20 bill. That's what they were, because you could go to Halalco and other places that took them, and you could get, that's what you could get. So sometime I would be at Halalco and I would see a sister might be shopping and having plenty of stuff there. And I would say, here you go. She would look, what are these? I said, don't worry. You just give them to the guy right there as you go through. And he'll take care of everything. And so we used them, but we also distributed them to the black community. Now, I'm not going to mention the Masjid, but the Negro Masjid in those days, they wouldn't even go out and pick them up. And I was mumbling to myself, I said, if they keep this up, I'm going to take it. This is real money. And we'll have just a wonderful Eid. If they don't want them. I mean, can you imagine if they're going to give you several $1,000s and you're not going to drive out and pick them up? Later on, they started, even with Masjid Muhammad, some of the bigger communities started handing out their packages of meat and other gifts in the parking lot at Masjid Muhammad. And of course, they kind of knew who we were, and everybody been knowing for years, don't be around us too much, And I said that to say that the brothers that have written a check for the lady that was over at the Islamic Center last week, we had an appointment. The brothers was going to come out here this Sunday, and they were going to, first they was going to send it to it, and they said, well, we'll come on out, and they had the idea about talking with me about whatever, was in the air. But they just called back an hour or so ago and said to me clearly that they couldn't make it, that they'll put it in the mailbox. In other words, somebody got to them and called them to let them know, don't go out there messing with the brothers. And also, the brother was head of one of the zakat committees before, when he was out there, way out in the woods. And they didn't know it, but what they used to give us, to me, it was just like money. You remember them $20? Hey, some of the people, maybe they was arrogant, maybe they was shoot. Man, when I got that, and that was before people helped a lot with, we would put mostly our, money into buying what we for Eid and all that, which is fine. Because sometimes some brothers donated to help that. But I'm going to tell you, I saw those gifts as $100, $20. To me, they was just like a $20 bill. And as I was just mentioning to the brother, sometime when I'd be out there, because they would hint to help the people out. So I would pass out some here, but I would keep enough for us to buy, things we needed. And so I said that to say that when we were over at the center the other day, the sister mentioned that, I'm having certain things, and I said, that's fine.